and welcome to your first episode from a special Women's World season highlighting gender-based violence prevention and response in Papua New Guinea. In this special edition, we look at how different organizations are working in addressing family violence. We start with Christian organization City Mission and their safe houses for women and children. We speak to Reverend Ronald, who is the CEO of City Mission. Men also play an important role in addressing violence. With that, we feature Isla, the founder of Warrior Culture, a performance and training organization working with men in redefining their roles, male belief systems, and male masculinity.
There's wounding that occurs. It is not something, the things that go in their ears are not something that doesn't penetrate their heart and their mind and their thinking. If they've been told they're worth nothing over and over and over again, they will begin to believe that lie when God intends exactly the opposite, that they are of such great value. At our House Ruth facility here, and then we also work with children and women in our House Claire in Lay, we see an increasing number of women who've come in that obviously have been or survivors of gender-based violence. In that, there are statistics in our country today that tell us that 2/3 of our women have experienced this in some fashion or not. And not to even argue the statistics, but I can tell you this, that every woman that comes into our facility or every young girl that comes in, what we see on the outside is only a small part of the damage that's been done by the violence that has occurred in their lives. It is the much deeper things that you don't necessarily see at first glance when you see a woman come in that has been, her face has been battered, or she's been, and you can see those obvious things, and we deal with those through the medical help that we get. But what you see in their eyes tells you that there's something that is much deeper that has occurred in their lives. And part of what we do at City Mission is to bring hope, try to bring hope, or bring a possibility or a pathway to hope. You don't see that in their eyes. You don't see a way out of this situation. And it's why we see oftentimes women go back after they have been in a violent situation. They'll go right back to it. And I think that more reflects what has been done at the soul. And that's one of the reasons why at City Mission, we are a Christian organization. And I'm a pastor first before I'm a CEO, that we are very concerned about what's going on deep inside of them through counseling that includes spiritual counseling, to be able to get them to talk about those problems and bring them to the surface so that they can be. I am firmly convinced that the things that sometimes that we see on the outside are only a small portion. It is what is deep inside them that we are most concerned with.
I'm Isla. I'm the founder of Warrior Culture. Warrior Culture in Papua New Guinea is a training organization, a performance and training organization that they work with men to redefine male belief systems and male masculinity, to empower men to overcome their tendency or willingness to commit family sexual violence. And people will say it's jealousy, it's distrust, it's finances, it's alcohol, it's drug abuse. Everyone's got a different reason. Underlying every one of those reasons is core fear. So as humans, all of us have core fear underlying. Whenever we feel scared, there's 3 core fears. And basically, it's a feeling that I'm not good enough, I don't belong, or I'm not loved. So if someone is jealous, they're worried that their partner or husband or wife may cheat on them. And at the root of it, that means that they're not good enough, or they won't be loved, and so forth. So when someone experiences that fear and it comes straight away, comes really quick, they react and the reactions to fear are fight, you start fighting, or you run away, or you freeze. So at the core of it, that's what's happening at a subconscious level, but human beings don't know that it's happening. Causes of anger, everyone has their own reason why people are committing violence, in men, in women. Basically, when you're looking at family sexual violence, we talk about it like this. Joe is beating up Mary today, and tomorrow we'll say Joe beat up Mary, and then in a week's time we'll say Mary got beat up by Joe, and then we'll say Mary got beaten up, and then over time, as time passes, we'll say, oh, she's a battered woman, and everyone forgot about Joe. So who is Joe beating up now? Has he overcome his problems, his insecurities, his fears? So men have a big role, because if we are part of the problem and perpetrating, we need help, because underlying that violence is a man that's scared. He's a powerless man. That's why he's trying to impose his power. Because if you're powerful, would you need to beat someone up? You'd be pretty calm. So men have a big role to discover themselves and find out who they are, to feel comfortable within themselves. And things like violence or depression, or if a male person is going through a challenging time in his life, there's an expectation that he should be strong. He can't cry. So men are not speaking up and admitting that their fears, or that they're scared about their wife, potentially leaving them or unhappy with them, etc. So the Melanesian way that's proven in the past, and I think it's proven throughout societies around the world, not just Melanesia, is for men to help other men and to speak up, to share their burdens. It doesn't mean you're weak. Allow yourself to feel emotion. You don't have to be the man that never cries, that holds all the emotion in. And in fact, that's dangerous, because that man will explode at some point, and that's what's happening with men who can't express themselves.
Welcome back. We now talk to Mr. Sebastian Robert from the National Department of Health about the health sector response to family and sexual violence in Papua New Guinea. We also look at an organization called Equal Playing Field, which works with children to understand violence, and as well as equality and respect. And finally, we talk about economic empowerment for women and girls.
The family support centers basically provide 5 essential services: medical first aid, that's to attend to cases of sexual and gender-based violence that have fractures, the broken bones, and bleeding from wounds or injuries that they sustain. And they work together also with respective special units within the hospital, for instance the outpatient department. So they don't work in isolation, they work together with these other units to ensure that there's some comprehensive care and expert and quality care and treatment that are given to support our survivors. So at least our family support centers are trained, the health workers are trained to make sure that they know how to approach survivors and provide that friendly environment that is conducive and inviting for all cases for survivors and victims of gender-based violence, and most often our women and children that are affected, including girls also. Yeah, we have about 17 family support centers around the country. Now, they are in 15 provinces only. The only 2 provinces that have 2 family support centers are the Autonomous Region of Bougainville, that's Buka, and there's one in Arawa. That at the moment is there's work being done in establishing the family support center there, but services are already being given despite the absence of the infrastructure. And we also have 2 in Simbu province, that's Kundiawa and Keruwagi. The other provinces that have family support centers are Western Islands province, the Morobe, even the NCD in Pomjen, Port Moresby General Hospital. We have Alotau in Milne Bay, and Tari, that's in the New Ella province. We have Mins in the New Jiwaka province also, and one also in Nonga, that is in East New Britain. At the moment, it's really not functioning, fully functioning as yet, but it's slowly picking up.
Way we create an avenue for us to teach these young people about a respectful relationship, gender equality, and issues around gender-based violence. Equal Playing Field is a non-government organization that is based in Port Moresby NCD. It was founded by Adam Averill and Ms. Jackie Joseph. So our aim and objective is we would like to see safe homes, happy family, and strong black community is our aim and objective of this organization. So we work with young children at the age of 13 to 15. So mostly we target primary school students, grade 7 and 8. So what we do is we use sports as a tool to address gender-based violence. So we believe that respectful and healthier relationship has the power to end violence against women. So we have 8 weeks of program. So every week we go out to the schools and talk to kids. We have our toolkit as well. From each of the weeks, we have respective topics that we teach in school, and then we use sport as a tool to engage young boys and girls to participate in sports activities as well.
Hello, my name is Nuni Kulu. I'm with Bank South Pacific in the retail part of the bank. I believe an integral aspect of the women's economic empowerment is financial independence. Women must have the capacity to earn their own income, whether it be through formal employment, selling produce, or business ventures. Earning their own income and must be able to engage in economic activity within the communities that they live in to be able to make a change for themselves. 85% of our population in this country are based in the rural regions, and I think women are engaged in economic activities within those rural parts of the country. However, they are solely or financially dependent on their partners, and I think the dynamics in a relationship, as far as the woman's status is concerned, is different when she is a financial contributing partner.
watching a special edition of Women's World. If you didn't know, the National Program Coordinator for the Family Sexual Violence Action Committee, or FSVAC, is Ume Waineti. FSVAC is a national organization that looks at ways to address family and sexual violence. Mrs. Waineti strongly urges individuals and survivors of family and sexual violence to speak up, get help, and break the silence. We also speak to Lana Kami, the chair for Coalition for Change, about the Family Protection Act. And finally, Delilah Sandika from the Baroko Police Station. She tells us more about the Family Sexual Violence Unit at the police station.
I'm not going to come out and talk because it involves shame. Being ashamed of experiencing violence and want to pretend that you're not one of them. The cultural norms that we have, that it brings shame to the family if you talk about it. If you go and complain about it, you take the matter to police, you're bringing shame to the family. To come out and be counted and say that I am not going to keep quiet, I am going to talk about it, I am going to report. I'm Ume Waineti, and I am the National Program Coordinator with the Family Sexual Violence Action Committee, which is a sectoral committee of Consultative Implementation and Monitoring Council. It's this overcoming of shame and that we want to see happen, and the breaking of silence, the keeping quiet because it's a shameful thing to talk about. If we are going to see any big movement by people to come out and participate in this thing, is to break that silence.
Any protection for domestic violence or any acts of domestic violence, the perpetrators were not taken care of, they were not fined, they were not put in jail. At that time, the laws against domestic violence were just entailed as assault. There are many reasons why they weren't being brought forward, and that was because it was family members. Hello, my name's Lana Kami, and I'm from Coalition for Change. I'm currently serving as the chair for this organisation. We are a not-for-profit organisation that funded and co-wrote the Family Protection Act. Now, the Family Protection Act was the result of a number of consultations made after it was found that any protection for domestic violence or any acts of domestic violence were not, the perpetrators were not taken care of, they were not fined, they were not put in jail. At that time, the laws against domestic violence were just entailed as assault. There are many reasons why they weren't being brought forward, and that was because it was family members. The Family Protection Act, which was passed in Parliament in 2013, was an interesting piece of legislation in terms of it offered solutions, or it was envisioned to offer solutions in terms of it wasn't just about fining and putting the perpetrator in jail, it also, and we didn't want to break up families, that was important. It was about the two parties being able to find other platforms to be able to resolve their issues. So there are various conditions that each victim or perpetrator could apply for, and that would include, most importantly, counselling and mediation, allowing both parties to be able to come together and try and resolve their issues, and from there stop the violence.
Some of the cases that we have dealt with, women have dropped cases. One was, there is that many of us think that many of us in this country mistake possessiveness for love. And so women need to know when is it your husband or your boyfriend loves you, when is he being possessive? And that fear of, if I report him, he's going to leave me. If I report him, he's going to go to jail and me and my children will have no food. You know, that sort of dependency that has been created on the man, that he is the sole provider, when it has not been like that. And you go to rural areas, women garden, do things, but for some reason that dependency is there. Because we think that men, you will hear men sometimes say things like, you should have told me, you know, it's this attitude of, I am the one who provides security for you. I don't need your security. I need you to be there for me when I need you, not to provide security. I don't need a bodyguard. I need you as my husband, my brother, to be there when I need you to do what I want to do. And to take me along with you, not for me to walk over you, but to be there with you as your equal partner.
FSBU simply is the Family Sexual Violence Unit, and it's established by the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary with the support of our partner, JSS40. It used to be a Law and Justice Sector program. It was established in 2009 as a result of a lot of women don't know where to go and been told to go back by the police in the front counters in the city and elsewhere. So Commissioner Biden Gary Back, who is now the current commissioner, decided that we issued a circular to all the police personnel to give prominence to family sexual violence cases as like what they would treat other cases. We receive complaints from ranging from minor complaints, from just being with a lot of people with a lot of stress. They just need police officers or other people to speak to, so they just walk in. Some of them, they don't know where to go and access other service, so they think they can walk in to our family sexual violence unit to get advice where to go. Like welfare cases, if a child has been kidnapped by one partner, it's either a husband or wife, they still come to us. We make referrals, so we refer them. But as police officers, we do our normal duty to apprehend and arrest perpetrators or suspects. So that's what we do when women come to us and they've been battered by their husband, or they want their husband to be arrested. We get those perpetrators arrested and brought to court. In serious cases, especially in sexual offences cases, for women and children, we do our internal referrals to our sexual offences squad, SOS, to do a thorough investigation and create court file to bring out to court.
Thank you for watching this special edition of Women's World, highlighting gender-based violence, prevention and response in Papua New Guinea. Coming up in the next special editions of Women's World are counselling and care for survivors of family and sexual violence, the legal and policy environment in PNG, men as champions of change, economic empowerment, empowering youth and adolescents, and many more. If you have a story to contribute, feel free to get in contact with us at womensworld@mtv.com.pg. You can watch this edition again online at MTV Online, www.mtv.com.pg. There is also a radio version available for your listening on FM 100. We look forward to you joining us here on Women's World. Until next time, take care.